Folks, fellows, and partners in crime, let me welcome you to our very first video in our Finance Real Talk series. It's all about the future in finance. We try to bring you the needed insights, maybe which you don't have on the radar, about banking, payments, cryptos, investments, wealth management, and everything else which belongs to the wonderful world of financial services. Before we kick off, please do not consider this as a financial advisory. That is definitely not a financial advisory. We're just sharing with you some ideas, some opinions, some views, maybe also some point of view of different individuals from the industry. But again, that should be definitely not considered as a financial advisory for you, especially when you are not really experienced about how to do investments properly. Let's kick off with cryptos. I have to admit, I'm a total fanboy of coins, especially Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. But to be fair, there are some other great altcoins on the market who have great use cases. And it's all about the use cases, and that will decide who will make the race at the end of the day. That is exactly the problem of many people out there who don't understand the crypto business, who don't understand the cryptos and the coins itself, because they never look behind the scenes. Cryptos and coins have a different reason why they were built back in the days. There are some ideas behind that. There are some use cases for that. For instance, you can have some smart contracts. You can use that as a scheme for payments, for instance. That's the thing with Ripple, for instance, and Swift, but that's another story which we don't discuss in this video because that is a really confusing story and needs more explanation that everyone understands what's going on behind the scenes, why we have a lawsuit in the US with the SEC against Ripple. But again, as I mentioned before, that is a topic for another story, another video. We need also more content for the next videos, to be fair. But back to Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is there to exist forever. We have just to understand and maybe decide what will be the use case for Bitcoin. Will it be for payments? Will we have it as a new kind of currency? Or is it just for us as a kind of value store? Like many people mentioned before, Bitcoin is the new gold. In any way, I will definitely invest in that coin. For trading, you need really strong nerves because you see the volatility there. But I think the volatility will be more and more reduced as more and more institutional investors will jump into the game, because volatility is something what enterprises and investors like those are not really happy with. So the more you have bigger assets back to that investment, the lesser the volatility will become. But that is also something what we can discuss in one of our next videos. But it's also interesting to see that more and more investors, big investors, jump into that game. You maybe heard that Visa and MasterCard explained their intention accepting Bitcoin as a payment method for their cards. You maybe heard about that BlackRock is also considering to be in the game of ETFs and other financial instruments for those coins. Maybe you saw that Goldman Sachs reactivated their crypto desk. And last but not least, there was a paper released last week or the week before from Citi, which is a great paper. I can highly recommend it to you to have a look on it, to understand what's about with those coins, especially Bitcoin. You see, it gets more and more prominent, and that's only the tip of the iceberg, what we are getting through the grapevine, or maybe just have a look in the mainstream. But there are also some other different things which happening behind the scenes. You have so many investors, huge investors, whales, which jump into those investments, and that's why you have to look closer behind the scenes. There are some different charts where you can see how many coins left the market, how many coins get into the market. There are great indicators for you to understand how you could maybe trade them. Just another hint of mine for you guys. When you would like to do some trading there, you have to watch out to those charts to understand what's going on there, who is going to do what why and when. There are some indications. It's all about math. It's all about statistics. And when you consider those topics and those facts, you could be maybe successful in doing trading there. But I personally would not recommend to do trading, even if you have some monopoly money to play around to that, and then it's fine. Otherwise, my personal recommendation is always also to my fellows and to my friends and families, just put the money in, forget that you ever invest the money there, and just have a look after a couple of years. Last point for today's crypto chat is, again, Bitcoin, especially PayPal, and the acquiring of a startup called Curve. Curve is a startup who work together with different brokers and also OTCs to secure that their customers can store their cryptos safely. So that shows that PayPal takes it more and more serious with all the cryptos, especially with Bitcoin, to be a kind of payment currency. And I think they have to do it, not only to be still in the game, maybe one of the front runners there, but it's also about that, especially all the payment service providers and acquirers will lose ground, especially in Europe, within the next month or maybe within this year. Because there's another thing which will lead me to the next topic. It's about payments, and that there is a new pan-European scheme called request to pay. It is a kind of that the payer and the payee exchanges data for the payments before the transaction happens, and then each bank authenticates their own clients and customers, and then the payment will get released, within seconds. Means you need no cash, you need no cards. And the great stuff there is the merchants, the retailers, the companies and enterprises can save a lot of transaction costs there. So that will be definitely a game changer in the payments world within this year, starting with Europe. So that is something, you can imagine how much transaction costs PayPal take from their clients. Yes, it is a great payment method. It is a secure payment method. Everyone knows PayPal, and everyone nearly accepts PayPal. But consider now, you can pay directly with your account. The only thing you need is just your smartphone. You just copy a QR code or something else, or by NFC, which you put only on the point of sales device there. And then you just get asked for authenticate yourself, and if the payments is okay, and if you would like to release the payment, initiate the payments, and that's it. That's all about in payments. And that is definitely the future in payments. What will be a kind of game changer in 2021, starting with Europe. We will also discuss what's about in payments globally, not only regionally, with one of the next videos. Maybe just another spoiler at this point. Working for a fintech, a global fintech, one of the leading fintechs there, and also working in the payment space and also in the banking space, and that's why we have some great insights there, which I would like to share with you to give you more overview about what's going on there, what we can expect, especially what benefits we as retailers can have out of it. And that is one of the next topics I would like to discuss with you, after explaining you that something like a request to pay is existing there. It will be released this year in summertime in Europe. Another thing which is pretty important for us is real-time payments, or what we call instant payments. We still think it could be the new normal for us. In some countries it is. In some countries we need a little bit of time, We have some conservative countries, or maybe underbanked countries. It doesn't mean that they are underdeveloped, it means only that they have maybe not the banking institutions like maybe the rest of the world have. And that's why we call them the underbanked countries, For instance, Nigeria is a great example where M-Pesa exists. M-Pesa is a great app for doing banking and financial transactions. You don't need a bank, you only need a smartphone. And that's it. People pay only by their phone, and it works. It works since years, and that is such a great sign that the financial technology will change so dramatically within the next years. It is pretty hard for banks to keep up with that pace. And that leads me again to one of the next topics for today's chat, is what banks have to consider, especially with their technology. So we have frequent exchanges with different banks, with different prospects and new logos and existing clients there. Some doing great, some not doing so great like the others, and some are still running behind and have a huge lack in knowledge and also in technology. And again, like I mentioned before, PayPal maybe kicked off a season of M&A transactions and consolidating the fintech market, and we will observe also consolidation of the banking market, because I believe the future of banking will be definitely different than it is today. It's all about partnerships, it's all about ecosystem and building ecosystems to support each other, because at the end of the day, there's just a specific amount of clients, Even if some were born, some will raise up, we will also lose some clients, It's all about nature and the selection of the nature. But at the end of the day, the amount of clients will be still the same. The only benefit how we can do it also in the future successful is together. You're just building up an ecosystem where everyone supports each other with different services. And that is a great benefit, especially for banks or smaller banks, which don't have enough resources, not enough capacity, and maybe not the right products and technology, to serve the market. It's about giving them the right to exist also in the future. And with such an ecosystem, they can get services from other third-party providers. That is how we call them when someone else is giving you something. It's a third-party provider. We'll also discuss about those terminology in our next videos and give you some more insights about what we try to do there, why we have an environment like this, what is the fundament for that environment, and how we should involve that environment for the future. Again, back to our example with a small bank, if you don't have enough products, you don't have to build that product or own that product. You can get a service from a third-party provider immediately, through a great, let's call it a cloud, an ecosystem, where you are a participant in. And also the third-party provider is a participant. And especially in Europe, there's a directive called PSD2, which enables banks to plug and play to other banks to offer services. A little bit more difficult and complex than just I tried to explain to you. I guess we need more than just a video to explain you how that thing works, but long story short, PSD2 was, especially in Europe, the basement and the fundament that we can build that kind of open banking environment for the future. And that is exactly the buzzword what we have to keep in mind. It's all about open banking and the financial digital ecosystem. That brings me now to one of my last topics for today. In those ecosystems, you can have different kind of services. You can have different loan providers. You can have also different wealth management providers. Means even if I'm a small regional bank or maybe a community bank, I don't have maybe that kind of product portfolio currently. But what I can do is definitely get a service by another bigger player maybe, or another player on the market who offers their wealth management, asset management products as a service to my clients. Means I get those services for my clients will be happy, I'm happy, I will keep my clients with me, maybe I will make also money out of it. I can give a kind of bonus to the third-party provider and everyone is happy. It is a total win-win-win solution for everyone. And that is exactly really, really high level explained how the future for banking have to look like. Otherwise, many banks and institutions will close or will get acquired by bigger ones. The big whales will do it on their own, but even the big whales have to partner with others. And we observe that, like I mentioned before, PayPal is acquiring a startup just to get the right resources, the right knowledge. The same are doing the other tier one banks and institutions and big enterprises there, And that is exactly what we will also observe in the near future, is a huge consolidation of the market, and we will have big players like we have currently with the fast moving consumer goods, with Unilever, Heinz, and also the other players like Nestle and all the things, that you only have 5 to 6 huge providers with all the brands there. What we think, yeah, man, you have so many brands out there, but they only belong to 5 to 6 huge institutions. And exactly the same will be happen in the financial services world. And it is pretty hard for us to predict how the future will really look like, because I don't have a crystal ball, neither someone else have it. And that's why we have to keep up with the pace of the technology. We have to keep up with the pace of informations and the changes and the development of everything. And that's exactly the reason why we built this channel, just for you to have some active discussions with you guys. And that's why I'm also asking you, please participate actively, write some comments here and statements, and I'm happy to read all of those. And if you like to have one of the next videos, or you would like to recommend a topic for the next videos, please write it down in the comments, and don't forget to smash the hit and the subscribe button. So I hope you enjoyed the very first video of our Finance Real Talk. It was just a high level discussion about different topics, what we would like to discuss more in detail with you in the near future. I will try to bring in also other individuals who are explaining something to you. We will have some discussions here. We will have great individuals from the industry. So it means we will have some insurance guys here. We'll have some investment guys, and also some guys from banks and other financial institutions, so that you get directly the informations and the insights from those subject matter experts from the industry, and not just watching the free video. I would like to avoid to talk more about big techs and how they will enter the financial services market, as they already do. Banks missed a little bit to keep up with the pace there, and then they have another competitor which they never expected, who has a great basement, especially when it's about technology and adapting new services, new products pretty fast. But that is something what we should keep for one of the next videos, where we can discuss hopefully together about that stuff. Thank you for your time. Thank you that you watched the video, and I hope that you smash the like and the subscribe button, and see you soon. Stay safe and healthy.